Hey everyone, welcome to Livestream Stars. This is actually the Livestream news version. Wagner dos Santos will be joining me. We'll do a full formal introduction in just a minute, but glad to have everybody with us. And I'm just going to share this out just a moment on Facebook. If you're joining us just now, please feel free to invite your friends, share it out, let people know what we're up to. We're going to talk about everything going on in live streaming, new products, new platforms, new shows. Wagner's got a new show, so a lot of interesting topics to cover. He's also got a background in marketing and in the early days of the internet. I think from reading your bio, you founded the internet, Wagner. So, no, I'm sorry, that was Al Gore, right?
Well, he and I partnered on the venture. Yeah. He took the credit though.
So bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna share this to my personal page. I feel like I need like a music bed or something as I'm doing. There he is. The musician comes through.
Ross and Wagner. Ross and Wagner. Boom. I'd be good for the old days of radio.
Yeah. It's a little jingle that they play.
Show. The Ross and Wagner show.
All right, we're good. We're good. So, let's see, 6:59, about 1 minute away from getting started.
Early.
How's the weather down there?
The weather is good. The weather is crazy in Orlando. It's crazy because one day it's like 40 some degrees, and then today it's 80. And I don't know. I mean, it's crazy for me too because I have a Jeep Wrangler. My Jeep Wrangler is wide open. And so there's been some days that I've been freezing in it and I've had to bundle up. And today, man, I felt like I needed the AC. It's like, what's going on? Crazy.
Now, when you say freezing in Orlando, you're talking about what, 65, 70 degrees?
Hey, listen, it's I talked to another fellow Northeasterner. He was more from Jersey, Connecticut, and I grew up in New York. And right. he and I both agreed that after 1 year of living here, our whole, I don't know, our blood thinned or something to where, 60 degrees started becoming cold. I don't know how that happened, but all of a sudden, and so when it drops like 50 and 40, that's the equivalent of when I was going through below zero weather in New York.
Right. I remember when I lived in Arizona, it was kind of like that. Just the little bit of cool weather would be, oh my God, I got to put a jacket on and stuff.
Yeah, right. Crazy.
It does change.
Crazy.
Bear with me one more second here. Getting set up, and we should be good to go.
Absolutely. Where are you broadcasting to your Ross Brand page or another page?
I'm broadcasting to the Livestream Universe page, and now I'm sharing it over to my personal profile.
Perfecto.
And thank you to everybody who's sharing it out too. Really appreciate it. And if you're good, I'm good. We can actually start the show.
Hey, you good? I'm good, huh?
Hey, what?
Whatever. You good? I like it.
All right. Welcome to Livestream News. I'm Ross Brand from LivestreamUniverse.com, and my guest today is Wagner dos Santos. Wagner is a brand strategist, social activation marketer, and public speaker with 20 years of experience, a pioneer in the online space. At age 17, he designed, built, and launched two popular online services that paved the way for AOL and the internet. Wagner runs the Wagner Agency, previously served as president, CEO, and founder of Beloved, a national award-winning marketing agency Wagner hosts Wagner Live Insights weekdays on Periscope, providing viewers with the same type of market insights he shares each morning with his agency team. He also hosts the midweek marketing wrap-up. Is it the marketing midweek wrap-up or the midweek marketing wrap-up? I haven't gotten it right on my update, so maybe I'll ask you in person.
When I started the show, I was getting it confused. It's the marketing midweek wrap-up.
And that's Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live. Mm-hmm. And you also host an interview series that's both a podcast and a live video show. And Wagner is also the winner of 7 American Advertising Awards, recognized as the 2010 Most Influential Businessman nominee by the Orlando Business Journal. He's trustee and past president of the American Advertising Federation of Orlando, and he's also a contributing writer for the Orlando Business Journal. And put all that aside, you're also a musician.
This is quite true. Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your music background before we get into the live streaming stuff.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. So I started, I guess I started in music very young. I was 7 years old, maybe 5 when I started showing an interest in music, but 7 when I started taking formal piano lessons. And then at the age of 9, I was accepted to the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music, where I studied composition, music theory, classical piano, flute, and violin. Now, I didn't last very long with the violin because, as much as I loved the instrument, it was incredibly uncomfortable to adjust on my shoulder, and I was just frustrated. But I continued with the flute for about 8 years, and piano for about 14. Had a private coach after that, and then into my teenage years, I moved into more rock-based stuff, and that happened mostly because as a young teen, I noticed that girls that I was interested in they didn't really find the whole classical music very sexy. My teachers did.
Really?
I didn't want to date my teachers, especially not that age. So, I wanted the girls to think I was cool. So then I started getting into, to date myself, new wave, punk, and then worked my way up in that area and legitimately became a recording artist. I sang for a couple different bands in New York City, recorded some albums, but also, long story short, I also worked on the record business side. I was an A&R rep for some major labels back in the early 90s, and then ran a record label myself under Universal for about 5 years.
Wow, you've had quite an interesting career. While we're talking about it, tell me a little bit about your experience before you were even an adult with the internet and online business.
So the very first record business or record company I created was back in the late 80s, and I'd never worked in the business before. This was when I was at the age of 17, and I moved to Manhattan. At that time, I was living in the suburbs of New York and Long Island. And I decided I really wanted to focus on that career. I went from recording my first solo album to then producing other artists in the same studio that I recorded my album. So now I think back and I think, wow, how did these people, how did I convince them to let me produce them? I was just fresh out of doing my own album about a year or two ago, and now I'm a producer. I mean, I don't know. I guess at that age you just want to move fast, right?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But I ran, so what happened was, and hello Claudia, by the way, good to see you. I guess being the entrepreneur that I saw that I was, I wanted to create other streams of revenue. And I was not only very into music, but I was also into technology. I built my first PC at around that time. I created I was very into CompuServe at that time. CompuServe was fascinating to me. It allowed you through your very slow modem to get in there and go into forums and chat with people. You could book travel, you could buy stuff, you could do all sorts of stuff. And I got lost in there. I was like, wow, this is great. And then I decided I want to be part of this movement. I want to create this kind of online experience too. So I learned coding on my own. And at that time I was learning C++ and learned how to build a program that allowed you to do similarly what CompuServe, Delphi, Genie, and the others were doing, allowing multiple people to come in and function on the service. So I had about 100,000 subscribers at that time, which was nothing in comparison to CompuServe's million that they had, but I wasn't backed by H&R Block like CompuServe was. And then it was just a case of, I did make some money, did help supplement the record business, but it was a case of bad timing, because at that point, America Online was coming in, AOL, right, and they really disrupted the industry, because for any of you guys old enough to remember that period of time, everybody was charging on an hourly basis. And the reason why we charged on an hourly basis was because we had to pay for the incoming lines to give you local access numbers. When you were using those local access numbers, we had to pay by the minute to the carrier. And so, for example, if you stayed on for all day or you forgot to hang up from the online service, we have to pay that bill. So we had to charge you. Well, AOL came in and they said, all right, no more hourly fees. We're going to charge you a flat monthly fee. And I think their first one was like $19.99 or $19.95. And that was like, whoa, how can we do that? Because if Ross is on there all night, all day, and we can't disconnect him, I'm going to go broke on $19.95. That's not going to be enough. And it wasn't for a lot of others. Delphi, Genie, Prodigy, and AOL really kind of killed everybody at that stage, because they took that risk. They probably lost a little money. See, Barb remembers, and Barb and I talked about this story because she's from back in the day too. So then it really changed everything. And so a lot of us moved out of it, and AOL grew. But those are my humble beginnings in the business. And it's interesting because where we are today with the internet and with websites and the nature of the online communities that are created aren't very different than what Barb was saying about back then in 1985. It hasn't changed. It's just the platforms have changed.
Yeah, and so I guess then you couldn't imagine that in 2017 you'd be hanging out in a live streaming community, and the main way to connect would be on live video, and everybody would have their own show or their own broadcast, whether it was on a platform like Be Live TV or using a mobile phone or whatever. I mean, the idea of a mobile phone wasn't even in the picture back then. So let's talk real quick, just an overview. You've been in marketing now for quite some time, and you have some great experience with that. And you started doing a show, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on Livestream News is I think you're doing a really groundbreaking broadcast. Just recently, Periscope came up with Periscope Producer, which allows you to connect, broadcast equipment to Periscope and do a more professional style broadcast versus a cell phone broadcast. Not that there's anything wrong with doing a cell phone broadcast, but this allows you to broadcast from your desktop and use software and so forth. And you're basically doing every morning the kind of marketing tips and things that you would share with your agency. And it's almost like tuning in each day is like watching a course. It's like going for a different lecture on business or on marketing. Where did you come up with the idea, or what led you to believe, okay, what I'm doing with my team at work would translate well to doing it on Periscope and doing it in a produced fashion as you're doing?
Well, great question, Ross. So first of all, I got to say that it's challenging because I recognize that there are a lot of people using live streaming, using the internet to talk about marketing, and whether it be marketing, branding, social media marketing, influencer marketing, it's almost become gotten to a point that it's reached a point where it seems like so much noise. Everybody's on there talking about marketing, and some people are like, I don't want to hear about marketing anymore. I just want to go there and have fun. The problem that I've said this very openly and candidly before, is that there are a lot of people that really are not equipped, or the experts that they claim that they are in marketing, to be talking about it. And that's what's kind of a shame, because there's some of us that actually have worked in marketing and advertising legitimately for a number of years, for agencies, for large brands that are bringing that experience. And then there are a lot of others that are kind of cluttering the space with something they learned just about a few weeks ago, and so first there's that challenge and that obstacle. So it's an obstacle to creating a fan base, because I think a lot of people have been burned by seeing these so-called experts out there talking about something they hardly know about. But that aside, hey Zeph, my good friend Zeph San, but with that aside, at my agency, and even at the agency that I worked at previously to this, every morning in the production meeting, I've had a tradition of doing a daily insight, and I thought it was a great way. It wasn't something I created completely on my own. I'd seen another agency do that for their staff before, to kind of start the day, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. They didn't do it in the same structure as I do it, but something like that. And I decided, okay, it's a great way to get everybody kind of jonesed and inspired for the day, and giving everybody a little bit of dose of knowledge, so that when they're talking to their clients, or they're working on something, I've given them a little bit of a little nugget that they can apply right away, as opposed to overloading them in the morning. And so right. I then decided that, well, I was live streaming. I started with the first show, which was the marketing midweek wrap up. And then added interviews to it, where I interview different authors and experts and so forth. And then I thought, I want to do something on Periscope, but I don't want to, because I'm not a big believer in being redundant and doing the same show on every single platform. And I know some live streamers do that, and that's fine if that's part of their strategy. But for me, I feel like every platform should be handled differently, because people use different platforms for different reasons. And there are different audiences. So I decided I'm going to use Periscope to do the daily insight, to just give them a little nugget of what I gave my staff, because it does two things. One, it gives, like you said, kind of a little dose of education, right, marketing on some kind of aspect. And also it's helping to promote my show on the other platform. So if you saw me on Periscope, but you've never seen me on Facebook, you might come over to Facebook now for the other shows, and perhaps vice versa. You follow me on Facebook, and now you may be going to Periscope to follow me there. So it's helping with cross audience promotion as well. Thank you, Ricky.
Are you finding, hey, Ricky Primus here, are you finding a different audience between Periscope, or a different community, different reactions in the comments? What are you noticing that's different between broadcasting on Periscope and broadcasting on Facebook Live?
So Periscope, by the mere nature of the platform, is open to a large international audience, and there is some noise there. There are some people that are not really serious. They just stumbled on it on your scope because maybe they like what you look like, or the subject title or the emojis you use seem kind of interesting, so they want to peek in to see what you. I mean, I'm being honest, right? And they peek in and see what you're doing. Then they're like, oh, this is boring. This is what I really want. And then they leave. So there's a lot of that, a lot of in and out happening. But then there are some people that stay. They're like, oh, this is kind of cool. I've never seen this guy, never listened to him before. I'm into this. Okay, you know what? I'm going to follow him, and I may follow him all the way to Facebook. So the discoverability I really like. I really like that aspect to Periscope. Now, Facebook Live, I've cultivated a good audience and a community, I call it. I have as you know, Ross, I have a Facebook group dedicated to the show, a fan group, I call it, and then I have the page. The fan group is used more as a community because I consider those that come to my show, watch the show, to be friends, and we know a little bit about one another. We've done after shows, and for example, the marketing midweek wrap up is at 7:00. It used to be at 8:00 before. It moved to 7 because I put a poll out to ask everybody, what time slot do you like better? And they decided they like 7:00. So that's stuff that I do in the group. So there's more of an intimate community that I have on Facebook Live and Periscope. Some of that community comes over to Periscope, but for the most part, there are a lot of new people.
You do know I have the 7:00 time slot reserved on Mondays and Thursdays. So if you decide to expand,
so we'll have to change that.
You didn't check that with me, but for now, I can grant you Wednesdays. Wednesday is the day I'm least likely to do it.
It's 7:00 Wednesday nights. If Ross has a show, go there.
Okay, so now serious question. Barb asks, are you expecting Periscope and Twitter Live convergence anytime soon?
There's a lot of rumors about that, Barb, as you've heard too. And I do I don't know if saying that I expect it sounds very optimistic and sure of myself. I would like to see that. I think that it would be a good move, but there's a lot of things at play for Twitter at the moment, and they are really scrambling in some ways to figure out how they can find their and continue to have a unique voice in this space through all the troubles that they've had. And the next move that they make, whether it's the merge or integration of Periscope and Twitter Live, or if they expand their 140 character limit, whatever that move is, will either make or break them. So I think they're being very cautious about what they do. But yeah, I think Twitter has a great opportunity with the Periscope engine to merge those two together and make it Twitter Live. I believe personally that would be the smart thing to do.
Yeah, hopefully they won't miss this opportunity because, like you say, this is really a crucial time. Joel Comm had an interesting prediction in blog post that we did with 88 predictions, and Joel mentioned that he sees the stock price of Twitter dropping below $10 and then Twitter getting purchased by a media organization. And, obviously part of that is the fact that live video becomes such an essential part of Twitter. Do you see something like that happening, or what do you think is the end game for Twitter? Because it's sort of, I don't know. It's not exactly capitalizing on the space that it had for itself and where it once was. It's got a little momentum now with live video, but it's, Facebook seems to be the main place where people are going for live video. Like, what do you think the long game is for Twitter?
Well, one option would be that the company changes hands and it becomes Trump Tweets. It could be Trump Tweets Corporation. But a non-political answer would be that perhaps perhaps they really need to look at how they integrate live video in a way that's different than other platforms. I mean, you look at, and I'm sure we'll talk about Instagram and some others, but Instagram has implemented live video and live streaming, but not in a full downloadable capacity. It's there for the moment and then it's gone. So they found a way to make it kind of unique to differentiate themselves from other platforms. And maybe Twitter needs to do the same thing, to where they figure out how to leverage live video into their platform, which they have categorized themselves over the last year as a a news app. So they used to be a social networking app, and they recategorized themselves in the App Store as a news app. And so I believe that was very deliberate in that they see themselves moving more toward that direction, and maybe their live video needs to take that position, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Twitter is the place that people still go when there's news breaking, when there's some major event happening, when something's going on, and you want to find out right away what's happening, or you want to talk about it right away, right? Twitter's still that place. But on a day-to-day basis, right, when there aren't major events happening, or when you aren't going there for the news, so much of what's on Twitter now is automated. That really the real engagement seems to take place either through live video that's essentially on Periscope, even if you're using Go Live, it's the Periscope framework, right? Or it's in Twitter chats. Those are the two places where people are still really engaging a lot with other human beings.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is that there are some people that are just not really into being on video or on camera. Unfortunately, some people are just afraid, or they just don't like being in front of the camera. So they're always going to want to type something out instead. But there's a big population, and especially your Generation Zs that are coming up right now, that were tethered to their devices and inspired by YouTube celebrities from birth, that may be more comfortable being on video than millennials and Generation Xers before. So we may see that communication, which has gone from contextual to emojis to maybe now video. You know?
Right. And, you know, there's also a whole range of Twitter users, a lot of people who've never tweeted, but their accounts aren't dead in the fact that they're constantly logging in and they're checking. They following, you know, news feeds, essentially. They're following news channels. They're following commentators' opinion. They're following sports teams and things like that. So they're staying up to date on what's going on. They're just not actively participating in the conversation on Twitter. And I guess the question is, are they being counted when it comes to to, you know, how you monetize certain things on Twitter or not? What is their impact, to what degree? And maybe the future is coming up with some way that people can sell product right from their tweet or something like that. I don't know.
Well, the other thing too is that I don't know if your audience would think the same as me on this, but I think that Twitter never made it a very big deal, or really instructed people very clearly on the use of lists. And the Twitter experience changes drastically once you organize your followers and those that you follow rather into lists, because then you there's a couple things. One is making sure that you are following people that you're really interested in. And I think in the early days of Twitter, there was a lot of misinformation going to brands saying, follow for follow. So if you want to increase your following base, follow everybody so everybody follows you back. The problem is that that was misinformation. Someone should have told them at that point that no. You want quality, not quantity. It doesn't matter if you have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers if they're not quality, and if they're all from like China, India, Ethiopia. Nothing against those countries, but you know, they're random bodies and eggheads, and that isn't what you need. What you need is quality. So, and you can see sometimes when people have hundreds of thousands of followers and nobody's engaging with their tweets, it's because it was overinflated. And so once you're able, if you're one of those people that have those kind of accounts, it takes a long time to clean it down. But once you clean it and you organize them with lists, it's a whole different experience. And then those people typically are more engaged on Twitter. But the problem is, I don't think that Twitter and others really made such a big deal and explained that to people. People just kind of found out on their own. So
we're talking with Wagner.
Twitter.
Thanks. We're talking with Wagner dos Santos, the host of Wagner Live Insights, Wagner Live, the marketing midweek wrap up, his interview series, and also a marketer and marketing agency professional. Let me just take a minute to tell you about Summit Live. I'll be speaking at Summit Live February 22nd to 24th out in LA. It's the largest conference devoted to live streaming, and there's still tickets available. And in fact, if you haven't purchased your ticket yet, you're considering going, there's a promo code down in the comments. Just click the link. It'll take you to where you can purchase. You can get 20% off using the promo code ROSSBRAND. And if you'd like to see more about it, just go to livestreamuniverse.com. There'll be a big image on the front page. You can click that. That'll take you to where you can find more information. Again, livestreamuniverse.com. Use the promo code ROSSBRAND, or just click the link in the comments section and then enter the promo code when you're ready to get your tickets. So hope to see you out at Summit Live in LA February 22nd to 24th. Should be a great time. I know there's a lot of people from the live streaming community who are going to be there, and I'm looking forward to seeing for the first time in person. And Wagner, one of the interesting things about live streaming is how cool it is when you actually meet people that you've known through live streaming in person. And I look forward to meeting you and so many other people from the community in person, whether it's at Summit Live or it's at another conference. Interesting thing is, you're like me, very much desktop based in your live streaming. Do you do any mobile streaming or any streaming on the road?
Good question. Actually, before I answer that question, let me tell you real quick that I'm planning, and we'll talk about this offline, but I'm planning to be in New York in the early part of March. Nice. I'm going to be staying with a friend in New Jersey, in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, if you know where that is. And I'm going to be there from the 3rd all the way to, I don't know, the following Wednesday, whatever. I'm going there to hang out there for a little bit, see some friends, see some contacts, also see Billy Joel at the Garden. So we should definitely hook up somewhere.
Yeah,
I'm there.
Definitely. And I'm in New Jersey too, so we can even meet up without needing to go into the city, unless
even better.
Yeah, that sounds.
Let's hop
great.
on the New Jersey Transit and go see you.
Yeah. So cell
uh,
phone. Do you do mobile? Do you do much mobile video?
I haven't done too much. I've done a little experimentation here and there, but part of my plan for this year has been to set up my mobile equipment, which I have. I have mobile gear that I can just get up and go. And what I'll share here on your show that I haven't shared even with my listeners and viewers yet is that you're getting an exclusive, Ross. Only for you, because I like you. And so my plan is to either under one of the Wagner Live shows or something separate, I would be taking my tripod and my setup out to talk about much like newscaster style. I would go out there with my lights, my setup, and go talk about something as it's happening in the background. And some of it, I'm thinking that it would be, I would stay within the marketing aspect and not go into social or political or other types of issues, because then I think one of the important things for brands and my personal brand is to be consistent with my message. If I try to be all things to all people, then you just don't know what I'm about anymore. So Wagner Live should really be what it is. So I'd probably go out and talk about maybe a new, like, for example, Wawa had come into Florida with a major initiative of over 100 locations throughout the state. At that time, if I was set up, I could have been out in one of the locations talking about their big push in Florida, showing one of the Wawas going up, or maybe at another type of event or so forth. So there's going to be some of that this year too. A
little bit of live stream journalism.
Yes, exactly.
Covering the news as it happens from on location.
Yes, and I'm prepared with my my dual lav mics so that I can do some interviews on location. So it wouldn't be just seeing me. I might pick someone up before I stream to see if they might want to be interviewed and interview them right there for the fans.
Now, when there's a hurricane, don't feel like you have to go out and stand right in the midst of the storm like the news reporters do, just so you can say you were on site, you know? Be a little
I'd be
bit
like,
safe, at least until
boss,
you.
it's very wet and windy out here. It's not safe for anyone to be out here. No human being with any intelligence should be out here. That's why I'm here reporting.
Yes. Oops, our cameraman just got hit by a falling branch. Well,
That's
good thing
right.
the camera's on a tripod. I'll just keep going.
Exactly. I may die any moment, Ross, but I'm here reporting.
Yes, excellent. Thank you so much for being on the scene. Stay safe out there. First
right.
in the studio, he says, stay safe out there. Really, if you were concerned about me being safe, you wouldn't have sent me out to cover.
Exactly. This is Wagner dos.
Hey, so I know you're interested in VR and new technology and stuff. How do you see that integrating with live streaming, and what does that mean for content creators?
Man, I'll tell you what, I talk about that often on my show, and especially with CES just having wrapped up, and no surprise to anyone that virtual reality and augmented reality were big showstoppers. I mean, everybody and their brother had some kind of VR goggle on display and for demo purposes. What's interesting, I feel, is what they're not talking too much about now, because it's very centered around gaming and fun experiences, and it hasn't gone to the serious point yet, and understandably so, because they need to test it under these environments first. But the future of VR brings a lot of opportunities for marketing, first of all, where I can create an immersive brand experience for somebody wearing a goggle, to where I would have had to spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, creating an event outside where you would be exposed to maybe a pop-up or a mobile experience at a festival or something. I can do that similarly with a goggle, and maybe even with some sprays that are pumping out some different scents, so that I can give you a full experience. And that's what is exciting for brands. And then what's exciting for live streaming and for communications is that we are going to be able to move into an opportunity to feel like we are up close and personal. So imagine us right now. I'm looking at you on my screen. You're looking at me on my screen, and the audio. But imagine if I could see almost like a hologram looking Ross in front of me, and we could even shake hands, and we can maybe move into, maybe we're talking about a certain subject, we're talking about CES, and you and I walk onto an exhibit on CES together, through the VR experience,
both from our homes, without having
even
out of my space. I'm going first.
That's right. So I mean, that's really the future. I mean, the future is that, and there are pros and cons to that, right? The pro is that it's increasing the visceral nature of the digital experience and communications to a level that is so close to reality. The downside is that it's not reality, and one could argue that it may interfere with our interest in reality, right? We've already seen kids that would rather text than pick up the phone and talk to somebody. Right. So VR's advancements may get to a point that you may want to just stay in your VR experience as opposed to really living actual life. So there are some things to think about, but all that aside, it's kind of interesting to imagine what the future holds.
Well, I wonder what it also does for like our thought patterns and how we experience reality and stuff, because there's already, the understanding that you can visualize things in your mind, and for your subconscious or whatever, it's almost like you've experienced them. So now what happens when you enhance that to an even greater degree? Do memories from, say, virtual reality things start overwhelming memories from real life, or what role does that play in processing? I mean, I think this is getting beyond the scope of two live streamers, maybe, but it certainly is fascinating to contemplate what could be the implications of VR. But I'm sure people have been doing the same thing from text, from when there was TV. You know, every new step forward, there's always the resistance, right? And probably at some point it'll be as much a part of our life. You know, why go to the store to try on clothes when I can see what it feels like against my skin right here at home, or whatever it is? You know, I can see if it's the right size, you know, through virtual reality.
Yeah. Well, there was a guy that I saw on the news who was interviewed at CES, and he was talking about the risks with VR, that you can be within your goggles for such a long period of time that when you take them off, you could be out of touch with reality, and it may take a little while to adjust, and that there could be problems with the longer you wear a goggle, the more difficult it is, or the longer it takes for you to adjust when you take them off. The augmented reality glass and goggle developers, their argument is that, hey, well, that won't happen as much with us because you see the actual world through our goggles. We just put a layer, and augmented reality is really putting a layer on what is part of real life, kind of like Pokemon Go did for players. So, but then one could argue that layer and seeing things crawling on walls and stuff that normally aren't crawling could give you some LSD flashbacks, you know? So I don't know.
Well, I mean, with Pokemon Go, you had people wandering into traffic. You had people getting robbed because they were following some imaginary object or whatever. Somebody came up and picked their pocket. I mean, there are downsides to not being aware of your surroundings. I know we don't have, like, you know, necessarily wild animals chasing us in the, you know, suburban and urban areas and stuff, but it's still kind of good to keep looking out about the real world while you're out and about, right?
It was crazy. Yeah, we saw just a little taste of what the future holds for human beings walking around like zombies because of technology, and it was like everybody was messed up on drugs.
So when you look to live streaming in 2017, or, you know, if you want to expand it to social video and tech and VR, AR, whatever that might be, or platforms, what excites you about where this live streaming thing is going in the next year?
You know, what excites me the most is probably what excited me about back in the late 80s, early 90s with online services, and then going into the internet and where we are today with, you know, social media, which was the ability to connect people from all over the world that would not have been connected otherwise. That thanks to these technological advancements and innovations, that we have the ability now to befriend people and to expand our community well beyond the environment that we or the areas that we live in. So live streaming and live video now offers another aspect. I really believe live streaming is very akin to social media marketing. It's the next level of social media marketing, because social media allowed us to not only communicate with people that we know in the real world, but also connect with people from other parts, other states, other countries that we would have never met otherwise, but we were connecting with them through text, through images, through exchanges. Now we can connect with them like we're doing right here by talking and being on video, and you know, connecting everything else together with live streaming. So it's much more personal and much more relevant. I think that, you know, we talk a lot about, and certainly my industry does, because I'm in marketing and advertising, about the benefits of live streaming for brands. But, you know, how about the benefits for just the average person who just wants to hang out? You know, there's, in fact, if you look at Facebook Live's commercial spots, they don't show professional broadcasts or brands or anybody. They're totally pushing the casual smartphone, tablet. I'm going to go live right now and show some goofy thing I'm doing, because that's really what they're trying to push. Even though there's a lot of us that are, you know, putting these shows on, they really want to get people accustomed to, hey, share your experience. You know, what are you doing right now that you would like to share with your friends? Don't write about it, live stream about it.
Right, right. There's so much in what you just said that's so valuable. I'm not even sure which direction is best to go with it, but here's what the thing that's coming to me is basically you made it sound like live streaming is going to become a business necessity, right? Like if right now you can't not have a social, I mean, you can in certain businesses not have a social media presence, but in general, right? The average business is going to, the average business, across industries is going to have some sort of website and social media presence and all that. Will eventually live streaming become just another marketing channel? Just like social media and websites and all that? Or will it still be sort of a specialist thing that a few companies here and there do well, other companies use on occasion for some special event or something, and then the vast majority of businesses almost never touch?
I would add a number 3 to those two
Okay.
options. I would say this, that, you're saying about social media, whether or not it's a necessity for brands and businesses to be in. I believe social media is as much of a necessity as it is for businesses and brands to network. If you have a business and you're not out there meeting people and networking, then you're never going to grow. You need to be out there. And so social media allows you to do what you do offline and replicate that online. And so it's really the same principle and the same philosophy. So to that, I say, yes, very important that you also have a social media presence of some sort, not to use it to blast people and poster things, buy, sell, but for people to get to know you, right? Brands and marketers and advertisers make this mistake all the time. Every time they find a medium that's available, they're like, oh, great, I'm going to load that up with my stuff. No, because you're just creating more noise. What you want to do is you want to use that medium to engage and communicate. Now, live streaming, I think I said I was going to make a third option for you, in that I don't necessarily look at live streaming as far as a business medium. I look at it as another social communications medium, and that we're going to see it become more and more the norm for how people communicate socially, with families, with friends, and with people that they don't know and they're meeting for the first time, and businesses that want to connect beyond what they're doing offline and through social media will also use that medium to engage and create relationships. Those will be the successful businesses and brands that don't go on there and start polluting because that they won't get anything returned, but instead they're jumping into that communication channel as well, and also creating relationships between them and the brand.
And I think at its most effective, when you talked about the different things that social media does, live streaming kind of does it faster and deeper. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, you build that connection. You feel like you get to know a company a little bit, a brand a little bit through social media. You feel like you get them to know them a lot when they're live streaming and they're interacting and engaging and taking questions and all that. You also get to feel a sense of trust and a sense of community with a brand or a business in a way that you don't through just images or text, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, the mistakes that I think some brands are making with, hello, Vicky, by the way, my friend, hello, Jenny Q, and everybody else that I didn't say hello to earlier. The mistake that I think a lot of brands make, both on social media and on live streaming, is that they feel like they have to be polished and they have to have their script ready, and it needs to be very professional and very filtered. The truth of the matter is, people really connect with brands that are real, that are that make mistakes, that show their flaws, because that's what human beings do. And the minute that brands start acting like robots and not like human beings, is when human beings don't connect with brands. So when my advice to brands when they're live streaming is, be a little bit more casual, just, it's okay if you mess up. Don't feel like you got to cut the stream and you got to redo it. It's okay if you make a little mess up, because people are going to connect to that and say, oh, these guys, I can connect with them. They're real, just like me. I thought it was great with what Wendy's did through Twitter. And I would love to see brands do this on live streaming, where Wendy's social media team started responding to all these people that were bad mouthing Wendy's and saying that I went to Wendy's and their burgers didn't taste as good as McDonald's, or blah blah blah. And instead of them giving it very professional, oh, we're sorry that you felt that way, please contact customer service and we'll give you a coupon. No, they started ragging them. They started saying, oh, really? So, I forget verbatim what they were saying, but they were roasting the people that were criticizing them, and it was funny and it was great and people loved it, because it was just a little tongue in cheek. And so doing that on video, I think would definitely resonate as well. Don't be so polished on the platform. Use that opportunity to be like, hey, you wanted to know what the brand is like? These are the people that work at the brand. We're just like you. We're normal people,
And so, obviously when people in just their personal lives stream, and they're just streaming to their friends, to their family, to, people who are social contacts and stuff, those tend to be very, very informal, like even much more informal, much less thought out, all that. I don't think businesses are necessarily going to take it to that extent, right? I mean, there's still going to be some vetting. There's still going to be part of a campaign or part of a strategy. What do you like when you see people streaming who aren't doing it for business or even to build a personal brand? What kind of streams do you enjoy when it's just a person communicating something they're passionate about, or sharing an event with friends, or sharing, maybe a personal moment or something? What do you enjoy when somebody's in that mode?
Well, I know Ricky Prime was here a little bit ago, and I've always been a fan of what he did on Blab and what he continues to do now on Facebook Live and other platforms, where he's just kind of giving you a day in the life of Ricky Prime, and you got to love his laugh. And when he's got this natural laugh when he really thinks something's funny, and you're getting to know this individual and what makes him tick. And, he would just, I had seen him, in his early beginnings to date in so many different environments and, indoors, outdoors. And so that kind of stuff is fun. And, people that are kind of giving you a glimpse into their lives, because there are people that have very interesting lives. There's some people, sometimes we think, oh, just the Hollywood celebrities and those people, they have interesting lives. No, not necessarily. In fact, I think reality TV has taught us that there are some ordinary people out there that have some kooky lives or interesting things that they do. So it's really fun when they get on camera and you get a little glimpse of what they're doing. So I like people like that that are being real and creating interesting live streams and not trying to fabricate it, not trying to. One of my big things is a lot of people out there that have been producing these kind of streams now feel like they have to be content producers. So, I got to produce content. No, don't think about it as producing content. Think about it as turning on the camera and having fun. How about that?
Right.
Forget the saying that I got to go out there and produce content. Sounds like I got to go to the hospital and conduct a surgery. That doesn't sound interesting.
It starts to become a chore then, and then eventually it's not going to be enough fun for people to want to keep going. And by the way, just a casual conversation or an interview or a discussion or talking about something that's interesting to you and you're passionate about, that is content. It's just not okay. I'm going to strategize it down to the lowest, to every single degree and every single step. And
right.
I'm learning. Like I used to like not want to go live until everything was set up. Like, can I hit that mark? Like, Blab had that record button, and that was perfect for me, right? And now I'm realizing that half the fun is just chatting informally before the show, chatting after the show, whatever it might be. It's just a joy to spend time with different people who you might not be able to meet up with in person in real life, or you might even not likely talk on the phone. I think people still do talk on the phone, but not so much anymore.
Right.
But
just ask my live stream friends,
Yeah.
Ross, sorry to interrupt. They'll tell you that they long for the after show, the Wagner after show, and some of them really come by because they want the after show. It's like, okay, when Wagner's done with that marketing stuff, we'll have the real fun.
Right. Yeah, I have to figure it out. So I'm using Be Live TV for an interview for just the second time, and I kind of have to figure out can we do a post show, because I would like, when the show ends, to stay on a little bit longer, but I also kind of like having it contain recording. So I have to figure that out. But at least we did a few minutes of pre-show, so I'm opening up to the idea of, it's okay if there's longer on the record than what's the actual show or the actual interview. But that was kind of cool about Blab, is that you had that record button, so you'd have your show, but then you just turn off the record button and you hang out and just chat and joke around. And, a lot of times, people just drop in and they come on, you bring people on camera and the whole thing.
Yep.
So as much
that I've done, go ahead. Oh, no, I was going to say, one of the things I've done with the fan group is that is the destination for me to do the Facebook live streams, and then they're saved raw there, right? I don't edit it. I leave it the way it is. Then I do edit the shows and put it up on my video library, on my website, on YouTube, and then on the Facebook, the Wagner Live Facebook page. That one is very clean, has edited videos and all that. But the fan group, if you want to get kind of behind the scenes and see all the mistakes and the extra conversation, that's what happens in the group. So it gives
the
reason
original
for someone
goes
to be there.
there. The original goes to the group, and then you share it from the group elsewhere. But what goes on YouTube and goes on your website and all that is the formal show, the edited show. Interesting.
Exactly. Or as Gary Vee would say, show.
The show. Today on the show.
Show. That's it.
So anyway, if anybody has any questions for Wagner, we got so many great people here. Vicky Fitch is here. Anna is here. Barb is here. Claudia Santiago's been here throughout. Alfredo, Jenny Quinn. Who else has been here? Just great people. Jeff Adams is here. I missed Jeff. He said we were part of the live stream mail calendar. Not any calendar.
Yes. Yeah, Ross. Well, I forgot to tell you, Ross. Yes, it's coming out this summer. Remember that time I told you to change shirts? Well, I had a camera crew come out and take pictures as you were taking off your shirt. So we're going to be on that calendar.
That's not going to sell a lot if I'm on that.
Jeff, I didn't know you knew that.
Yeah.
I love me some Vicky Fitch too.
Yeah, Vicky Fitch
awesome.
is great. So many great people.
Yeah, it's been great doing He Said, Reg Said with her as her fill-in he. And she's a lot of fun. I'm hoping to finally meet her face to face as well.
Yeah,
and Claudia does
virtual
a great
group
show.
Hugs and high fives to all. I can't wait to meet Vicky and Claudia, and maybe some other folks as well who are watching at Summit Live. So that should be a good time. That's Ross. Nobody wants to see that. I clicked that by accident. I totally clicked that by accident. You see, if you go to click off the comment, but it's no longer the last comment, then you click on to the next comment because they keep moving up.
Yeah, you could do that. That's true.
I think we've moved into after show mode, but happy to take any questions if anybody has any questions. Wagner. Everybody here knows Wagner really well. He is the host of Wagner Live. You can find his website at wagner.live, on Twitter at Wagner Live Show is the new handle, and that's also the Periscope handle. And you do Instagram as well, or no?
No, Periscope is just Wagner Live. It's a little confusing.
Just Wagner Live. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't get Wagner Live on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't get it on Twitter. Otherwise, it would have been consistent. So.
Oh, okay. So Wagner Live on Periscope, where everybody can go watch the Wagner Live Insights show. on
Right.
Monday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern.
Perfect. That's it.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah,
Yes.
but feel free if anybody's got any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Ask me your toughest question. I'm good with that. Try to stump me.
We're going to play Stump the Wagner.
Stump the Wagner.
First person to get it right wins a free trip to their
Right.
kitchen.
It doesn't mean I'm a stump. It means just try to stump me. Stump the Wagner.
That's right.
Well,
thank you so much, Wagner. This has been a blast. I definitely want to have you back on Livestream Stars and get around and talk about some non-live streaming stuff and non-tech stuff as well. But this was great. I love what you're doing. Your professional approach to broadcasting, but also very down to earth, very relatable, and you really provide a lot of valuable insights on your Insights show and on your interviews. So. Again, it's really awesome having you on.
Thank you very much, and Ross, it's always a pleasure. I've known you for quite a bit now, and through live streaming, and respect what you do. And I know that the entire live stream community really values how you have been able to promote and document what we do as a community, and I think it's very appreciated, very commendable. And you too, you're a great guy. Enjoyed having you on my show, and I believe you'll continue to be very successful.
Thank you so much, Wagner. And we do have a question for you. Vicky
Sure.
Fitch asks, Wagner, what famous 6-foot redhead will you meet next week?
Yeah, that's a good question. It could be the female green giant, but no, that's green, so that would be red. It might be Vicky Fitch. It might be
Really?
Vicky Fitch.
Very
Yes.
interesting.
I believe that I will be meeting Vicky Fitch in person in South Florida on her trip here. So and it'll be shortly after she lands from the West Coast. So we don't even know what condition she'll be in, if she'll be falling asleep on me, but she has a lot of energy. So I don't know. So I think she'll be good. Maybe I'll be the one that's tired.
There you go. No updates next week. No shows next week. I'm going off the grid for most of next week. I will be back on the 23rd with updates and with Livestream Stars. Brian Kramer is the next guest we have Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Join us at rossbrand.live. And thank you very much, and have a great night, everybody.